Have you ever wondered why some people seem to have an almost magical gift for learning anything? Some master a musical instrument in just a few months, pick up new languages with ease, write books, code complex programs, or paint with incredible skill, while most of us, even after years of effort, remain stuck at the same level. What sets these few apart? Is it innate talent, luck, or is there something deeper, a hidden code that the greatest minds throughout history knew and practiced? When we look back, certain names appear again and again when we talk about genius. Leonardo da Vinci, who was not only a painter, but also an engineer, anatomist, inventor, and musician. Benjamin Franklin, who was a writer, scientist, diplomat, and entrepreneur. Or Miyamoto Musashi, the legendary Japanese samurai who mastered not only the sword, but also calligraphy, painting, and philosophy. These figures were not narrow specialists tied to one discipline. They were polymaths, people able to move between different fields of knowledge, connecting distant ideas to create something entirely new. Now think about the world we live in. Today, humanity has never had so much access to information. In seconds, you can open your phone and watch a lecture from Harvard, download a book on philosophy, or find a tutorial to learn the guitar. We have online courses, PDFs, podcasts, videos, and articles available 24/7. And yet, paradoxically, most people feel they can't learn anything in depth. Information overload has become a silent enemy. Instead of clarity, it creates confusion. Instead of focus, it creates anxiety. A study by Microsoft in 2015 revealed a shocking fact. The average human attention span dropped from 12 seconds in the year 2000 to just 8 seconds today. That means our ability to focus is now shorter than that of a goldfish. Yes, you heard that right. A goldfish can concentrate longer than most humans, and without focus, real learning is impossible. Another problem is something researchers call analysis paralysis. The more information we have, the less confident we feel about where to start. The result? We jump from course to course, book to book, hoarding materials we never finish. We buy complete language programs but never reach the second module. We download study guides and leave them forgotten in the downloads folder of our computers. We are surrounded by knowledge but starving for wisdom. Meanwhile, the polymaths of the past had none of this. Da Vinci had no internet. Musashi had no digital platforms. Franklin had no online libraries. And yet, they learned, mastered, and created on levels that still inspire us today. What was their secret? The answer doesn't lie in the quantity of information available, but in how they learned. Polymaths developed timeless principles that turned any discipline into fertile ground for mastery. They didn't depend on shortcuts or tricks, but on a code of learning that combined insatiable curiosity, disciplined practice, and a worldview that connected what others saw as separate. Eastern philosophy also sheds light on this code. In Zen, Buddhism, there is the concept of Shoshin, the beginner's mind. Even as one becomes a master, the true learner keeps the humility of a beginner, open to new possibilities. In Japan, samurai followed the principle of shuha-ri. First, you learn the rules, then you break them, and finally you transcend them. These teachings repeat across different cultures because they point to the same truth. Learning fast is not only about speed, but about depth and consistency. Modern neuroscience agrees. Studies on neuroplasticity show that the human brain can rewire itself throughout life. Unlike what people once believed, there is no age limit for learning. You can create new neural pathways at 20, 40, or even 70 years old. The secret lies in how you stimulate the brain, and that's exactly what polymaths did intuitively. Imagine for a moment that you could activate this code, that you had the same rules Da Vinci used when observing birds to sketch flying machines. That you apply the same discipline Musashi practiced, repeating a single sword strike thousands of times until it became instinct. Or that you carried the same curiosity Franklin had, exploring every field that caught his attention. What would your life look like if you could learn with that kind of intensity and clarity? That is exactly what we are about to explore in this video. Over the next few minutes, you will discover the 7 hidden rules of the Polymath Code, rules that unite the wisdom of Eastern masters, the practices of history's greatest geniuses, and the latest findings from modern science. They are not shallow tricks, but foundational principles that can transform the way you study, work, and live. But before we continue, let me pause for a special invitation. If you find this kind of content valuable and want to support the channel, so we can keep producing deeper and higher quality videos, consider becoming a member. It's a simple way to help, but it makes a huge difference. The link is down below. By joining, you'll not only support this work, but also gain access to exclusive content and behind-the-scenes insights. Now, get ready, because what you're about to discover is not just a set of techniques to study better. It's a path to turn your mind into a living tool of discovery and creation. The Polymath Code is about to be revealed. In the first part, we uncovered the real problem. It's not the lack of information that holds us back, but the way we deal with it. We drown in abundance but remain starved for wisdom. Now it's time to open the vault and reveal what polymaths actually did to learn so quickly and deeply. The truth is, their code wasn't built on hacks or tricks. It was grounded in timeless principles that show up in ancient philosophy, in the lives of geniuses, and even in today's cognitive science. These are the 7 hidden rules of the Polymath Code. And once you see them, you'll realize they're not only simple, but also incredibly powerful. Rule 1. The beginner's mind, Shoshin. In Zen Buddhism, there is a principle called Shoshin, the beginner's mind. It reminds us that even after years of experience, we must hold on to the humility of a learner. The expert who thinks he already knows closes the door to growth. The beginner, by contrast, is open to infinite possibilities. Leonardo da Vinci embodied this mindset. Even as one of the most celebrated painters of his time, he constantly carried notebooks, sketching bones, muscles, storms, plants, and birds. He never stopped looking at the world as if it were brand new. Modern psychology echoes this. Stanford professor Carol Dweck's research on the growth mindset shows that people who believe they can always improve, despite failure, learn faster and more effectively than those who believe their abilities are fixed. The conflict here is simple. Arrogance blocks learning. Humility unlocks it. Rule 2. Fragmentation to master something complex. Polymaths broke it down into smaller, trainable parts. Instead of trying to embrace the vastness of a subject all at once, they went piece by piece. Samurai in Japan would repeat a single sword strike thousands of times before moving on. Musicians practicing the shamisen could spend weeks perfecting just one note. Psychologists call this chunking. The brain stores and recalls information more effectively when it's grouped into smaller chunks. That's why we remember a phone number as separate segments, not as a long string of digits. The modern mistake is wanting to learn everything instantly, becoming fluent in a language in 3 weeks, mastering an instrument in a month, or coding in a weekend. Fragmentation reminds us, real progress is built brick by brick. Rule 3. The invisible connection. The true gift of polymaths was not just learning multiple things, it was connecting them. Da Vinci studied anatomy to paint the human body realistically, and engineering to design bridges and machines. Musashi was not only a warrior, but also an artist and philosopher, refining his combat skills through aesthetics. Today, the same principle drives innovation. Apple fuses design, engineering, and psychology into its products. IDEO, one of the world's leading design firms, hires people from wildly different fields because they know breakthroughs happen at the intersections. Harvard research on interdisciplinary learning confirms this. Students who explore multiple domains come up with more creative and effective solutions than those confined to a single track. But here lies the conflict. Society trains us to specialize narrowly. The future, however, belongs to those who see invisible connections. Rule 4. The rhythm of consistency, Kaizen. In Japan, the principle of Kaizen means continuous improvement. Instead of dramatic overnight transformations, it's about small, steady progress every single day. A study in the European Journal of Social Psychology found it takes on average 66 days to build a new habit. That shows us consistency is far more important than bursts of intensity. Polymaths lived by this rhythm. Da Vinci sketched daily. Franklin wrote every day. Musashi trained endlessly. They didn't chase immediate results, they cultivated long-term discipline. Modern culture, on the other hand, glorifies shortcuts. We want instant mastery, quick fixes, overnight results. But the truth is, real learning is like a drop of water, hitting stone. Slowly, steadily, it carves its way through. Rule 5. The creative void, Ma. Another powerful Japanese principle is Ma, the space between things. In Japan, silence is as important as sound, emptiness as important as form. The void isn't absence, it's the condition for creation. In learning, Ma is the pause that allows knowledge to sink in. A Harvard study on memory consolidation shows that rest and downtime are essential for the brain to organize and retain what we've learned. Zen monks didn't meditate to escape reality, but to absorb it fully. In contrast, we live in a storm of constant notifications, distractions, and noise. We never leave space for silence, and without silence, learning cannot take root. The secret: learning requires not just effort, but also emptiness. Rule 6. Immediate application knowledge that is not applied corrodes. It's like a sword that never touches the battlefield. It rusts away. Polymaths acted on what they learned immediately. Franklin tested electrical experiments in his backyard. Da Vinci built prototypes. Musashi took his philosophy directly into combat. Anders Ericsson, the psychologist behind the concept of deliberate practice, proved this point. Learning isn't just repetition, it's purposeful, applied action. Studying without doing is like trying to swim on dry land. The modern trap is hoarding knowledge, buying courses, collecting books, storing PDFs, without ever putting them into practice. But true learning happens only when knowledge becomes experience. Rule 7. Transcendent repetition, Shuhari. Perhaps the most profound rule of all is Shuhari, the 3 stages of mastery. Shu, obey the rules with discipline. Ha, break the rules and adapt them. Rai, transcend the rules and create freely. Musashi describes this in the Book of 5 Rings. A warrior first learns the form, then he knows when to break it. Finally, he transcends it, moving beyond technique into pure instinct. In modern learning science, Fitz and Posner described the same stages back in 1967. The cognitive stage, the associative stage, and the autonomous stage. Different words, same wisdom. Our conflict today is clear. We want to skip ahead to innovation without discipline. We crave creativity without foundation. The Polymath Code teaches the opposite. True freedom is born from discipline. These 7 rules may seem simple, but together they form a code that has guided masters, warriors, artists, and scientists for centuries. They are not tricks or shortcuts, but principles that, if lived out, can change the way you approach every skill, every project, and every challenge in life. Now that you know the rules, one question remains. How do you bring them into Your life today, in a world full of chaos, distraction, and pressure? That's what we'll explore in the next chapter. Now that you've discovered the 7 hidden rules of the Polymath Code, you might be wondering, how do I actually apply them in my life? How can timeless wisdom become something practical in the middle of deadlines, distractions, and everyday chaos? The first step is to understand that being a polymath doesn't mean mastering everything at once. It's not about chasing dozens of diplomas or stacking endless certifications. It's about cultivating a mindset of continuous learning, where every book, every conversation, every observation becomes fuel for growth. Being a polymath is not a title. It's a way of living, a synthesis of the 7 rules. Let's briefly recall the code you've just unlocked. The beginner's mind, Shoshin, staying humble, open, and ready to learn. Fragmentation, breaking big challenges into smaller, trainable parts. The invisible connection, linking distant fields to spark creativity. Consistency, Kaizen, improving just a little every day. The creative void, Ma, creating silence and space for ideas to grow. Immediate application, turning knowledge into action right away. Transcendent repetition, Shuhari, first follow, then adapt, then transcend. These 7 rules are not random tips. Together they form a living system, a map for learning deeply and growing endlessly. A practical path forward. To keep this from being just inspiration, here's a simple plan. Devote 7 weeks to practicing the code. Week 1, beginners. Mind, question what you think you know, approach tasks as if for the first time. Week 2, fragmentation. Pick one skill and divide it into small trainable pieces. Week 3, invisible connections. Find ways to connect your work with a hobby or one field with another. Week 4, Kaizen. Aim for tiny daily improvements, just 1% better every day. Week 5, Ma. Create pauses, step away from noise, let your brain breathe. Week 6, application. Apply everything you learn immediately, even in small ways. Week 7, Shuhari. Follow the rules, then experiment, then create your own path. 7 weeks is not long, but if you truly commit, you'll begin to feel the code shaping not just what you learn, but how you see the world. A philosophical reflection. There's a Japanese proverb that says, "The bamboo that bends is stronger than the oak that resists." Bamboo is flexible. It grows slowly and invisibly underground before shooting upward, tall and resilient. Learning works the same way. True mastery doesn't happen overnight. It requires patience, resilience, and the ability to adapt. Modern life pushes us to rush, but ancient wisdom reminds us. Real strength is quiet, steady, and flexible. The Stoics in the West taught a similar lesson. We can't control everything, but we can control how we grow, how we learn, and how we respond to challenges. When East and West meet, we see the same truth. Learning is not just about gathering information, it's about becoming transformed in the process. The science of lifelong learning. And this is not just philosophy, it's also science. Neuroscience shows that continuous learning stimulates neuroplasticity, keeping the brain adaptable and reducing the risk of degenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. Studies also reveal that people who engage in artistic and intellectual hobbies report higher satisfaction, stronger sense of purpose, and longer mental health. In other words, becoming a lifelong learner isn't only about professional success, it's about emotional well-being and even longevity. Closing inspiration throughout history. Polymaths were often misunderstood, even called eccentric. But they were the ones who built bridges between worlds and sparked revolutions in art, science, and philosophy. In the 21st century, the world needs polymathic minds more than ever. People who can connect, adapt, and keep learning without limits. And the truth is, This code is not locked away, it's already within your reach. Being a polymath today is not about showing off or chasing status. It's about awakening the infinite curiosity already inside you. Every book you open, every conversation you engage in, every practice you repeat can unlock doors you didn't even know existed. At the end of the day, the Polymath Code is not about learning fast. It's about living deeply, creatively, and consciously. It's not about conquering the world outside, but about discovering the universe inside. And maybe that's the greatest lesson of all. When you choose to remain a learner forever, you never truly grow old.